Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Zambezi Belle Podcast. Today we have an amazing guest. I call her my big sister, Mrs. Sipho Gumbo, and she is here and has made time to be on our podcast today. So I'm going to start by introducing her and then we will have a word of prayer. Sipho Gumbo, the founder of Munhu Inc. and Yangu Beauty, is a wife, mother of three, an entrepreneur, and philanthropist. She was born and raised in Lower Gweru, Zimbabwe. She grew up in a family where helping others was a family value, and she has several adopted siblings. She lost her parents when she was a teenager, and her passion for helping orphaned children stems from her understanding of the effects of losing one's parents at a young age. Yangu Beauty is an award-winning luxury vegan skincare line for people of color and people with sensitive skin. Her products are sold at neimanmarcus.com, Amazon, and at yangubeauty.com. She has been featured on NBC, Texas Today, Essence, Black Enterprise, D Magazine, D CEO Magazine, Vogue, Glamour, Vanity Fair, and many more. She attended rural schools like most of the students supported by Munhu. In her case, she was fortunate to have older siblings who helped with her education, and she strongly believes that an education can change anyone's life. It is this belief that led her to found Munhu in 2004, starting by offering financial support for the education of 15 orphans in primary school. Under her leadership, Munhu has grown and expanded to support over 1,000 students annually over the past 21 years, with some of its students completing university degrees. Sipho's efforts have also led to a significant increase of the number of donors, volunteers, supporters, and partnerships instrumental in the success of the organization's programs. She has seen her vision of helping one child at a time come to life, and it is her hope that the opportunity that Munhu students are receiving will forever change their lives for the better. She has also assembled a team of volunteers who share her value of helping others. Munhu is run by an all-volunteer staff with all administrative costs paid from the minimum $500 annual fee each board member is required to contribute. As a result, 100% of all proceeds from donations and grants go to helping the intended beneficiaries. She graduated from the University of Zimbabwe with a Bachelor of Arts degree. She pursued her studies at Baldwin Wallace College in Cleveland, Ohio, where she graduated with an MBA in International Business. She also holds a graduate certificate in healthcare administration from Cleveland State University. She's active in her community, and she was a member of CLASS, the Carroll Leadership Academy for Student Success for the South Lake Carroll Independent School District in Texas in 2011. She's a member of Altrusa DFW, where she served as VP for service for several years, and she enjoys reading, cooking, crafts, gardening, and crocheting. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate you having me here today.
I am very excited for our conversation. I'm going to start by offering a word of prayer and then we'll get right into it. Let's pray. Our kind and gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for this wonderful day that you have given us. Thank you for the gift of life. Thank you for the opportunity we have to talk as sisters. Thank you for your love and for your care. Please be with each and every person that will be listening to this podcast and this podcast episode. Please make yourself known to them, and please help each person to come out of this conversation having a part of them healed and to have had an encounter with you. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your grace. And thank you for everything that you do for us. In Jesus' loving and precious name, I pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Well, let's go right into it. Tell us a little bit about yourself, growing up in Zimbabwe and how you ended up moving to the United States.
Oh, well, that's a long story. Are you trying to make me condense? How many years is that? 30 years in
30 years
3 minutes.
condensed.
Okay. I will try. I'll try. Well, I was actually born in Loagweri, as you read there. So I'm a rural girl through and through. I lived in Lower Gweru from when I was born to up to when I finished my 7th grade. So I only moved into town when I was going for Form 1. That's when I was going for secondary school. So I spent a lot of time in the village with my mother and my siblings. I happen to be the youngest in my family. So that's why you see me, I'm in my later half of my 50s, but I still act young because as far as my sisters are concerned, I'm young.
You're a baby. Always be a baby.
I'm always a baby. And then when I moved, I went into boarding school in Gweru. That's Thornhill High School. That's my alma mater. I spent
Oh.
6 years there. So I went Form 1 to 6 at Thornhill. So you'll find that most of my friends,
Mm-hmm.
even if you go into my Facebook, the bulk are people from Thornhill High School. So
I didn't
that's where
I wasn't too far from you because I went to Anderson.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's not far at all.
Oh.
For us, it was, the Air Force. The school was very much linked with the Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
So we grew up as young girls admiring all those Air Force boys. But that's really where I spent my high school. Then after that, I went to the University of Zimbabwe, which is where I met my spouse. And yeah, I married very early in life. I was in my early 20s when I got married, and I think I spent 2 years after graduating at the University of Zimbabwe before we moved to the US. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, I was in my early 20s when I moved here. I was a young mom. We moved out here for my husband to further training. He's a physician, as you know. So he was coming out here for further training. It was, the transition was very big. The culture shock was incredible. You can imagine you are 23 and you have an 18-month baby and you are in a new country. I'd never traveled outside Zimbabwe
Wow.
when I came to the US. So my first flight out was straight to the United States.
Wow. And here you are. Did you have family when you came, or it was just you two and the baby?
It was just us and the baby and friends. We had two friends that we knew. But really, yes, it was just he flew out first. Then I think after 2 months, we followed, me and the baby. So it was quite something.
Wow.
Just arriving in Cleveland, and I didn't even have a driver's license then. And I don't know how it's been in you guys' training, but back then, residency was it was very intense.
Yes, it still
So
is. We had the 80-hour work restriction, so I have to say that. So we were working 80 hours a week. Whereas when your husband was doing his residency training, they did not have work hour restrictions. So they could work 120 or 130 hours a week and it was
even
okay.
more, I can tell
Yeah.
you, when we were in Cleveland, he would leave on Friday and come back on Monday. So much that
Yep.
I would drive to visit him at the hospital just for a little boy to see his dad. That's how
Oh,
crazy it was. So it was
yeah.
very lonely. I'll tell you
Hmm.
that. And I missed my family. I came from my family was very, very big. So I always had someone to talk to. And here I am in this apartment with my son, just the two of us most of the time. The transition was not easy. To talk of the weather, this is Cleveland, Ohio, okay? Never seen snow in my life. We came in towards the end of summer.
Mhm.
And then at the beginning of
Winter. Oh, and
winter,
then fall
it,
and winter
it
hit.
was one of the worst winters you can imagine. And he had chosen an apartment right by Lake Erie.
Oh,
Lovely in summer,
but the
but
snow.
in winter it was crazy.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's really our journey from Lower Gweru all the way to Cleveland, Ohio.
I'm on the other side. I am the the physician with the busy schedule who's gone all
Uh-huh.
the time. So
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear your transition as the physician's spouse. How was that, considering how busy his schedule was, and literally you were having to raise the children by yourself?
It was a very it's an interesting question to ask because
I want to see the other side of it.
you have to, as a physician's spouse, really, or anybody with a spouse with a very busy schedule, like I would say, the business people, for example,
Mhm.
there is an element of you have to give a lot.
Mhm.
That's what I call it. You have to accept the role of being a supporting spouse.
Mhm.
And it doesn't come easy
Mm-mm.
because I was young and, young, educated, and pretty much,
Ambitious.
there's a lot of feminist effects that
Yes.
come with it. I studied feminism. I understood that. And I had, family pressures. Like, for example, my sisters who had spent quite a lot to send me to school, then to say to them, oh, okay, I'm in America and I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom. And so that wasn't quite sitting well with them.
Yeah.
It was basically like, you can't do that. You honestly have to further your education and get on to the big corporate world and be. But when we moved and we started to look into me working. I mean, I was offered jobs, some of which I had to say no because of just my own beliefs, but they were good jobs. They were tempting. And of course, my little boy was still there. He was still an only child at that time. We made this exercise. If I were to work, we visited a lot of daycare centers to see. I know a lot of moms don't have the option, but
Right.
the daycares that I saw were kind of it was difficult. I think it was because I had just come from Zimbabwe where help comes from family and it's a different way of getting help for your child. And the thought of just leaving my son out there was difficult.
Yeah.
But in any case, because of the pressures, I did try. I won't say I didn't try it. I tried. I went to work. And one day when I was at work, I was called that, my son was transitioning too from, total Shona and Ndebele speaking
Yeah.
to total English.
Mhm.
So that also had an impact. So I put him in one of these preschools that I thought were okay. And one thing I learned from it was him, another boy from Japan, and another kid, I think he was from Eastern Europe. They were gathering together. And what I determined that what it was because their English was limited.
Right.
For some reason, I don't know how they were communicating, but they bonded.
Yeah.
They
Because they
played
understood
together.
each other.
Yes. So much that I had to take time to have to go take them for a play date with this Japanese young man, and they would play. And me with this Japanese mom, she didn't have enough English.
Yeah.
Fortunately for us, we grew up with English in Zimbabwe. So we would have that. But anyway, that was short lived because one day when I was at work, I received a phone call and I was told that I have to come back to the preschool. So I rushed there and I found my son with a big scar on
Oh
his
no.
cheek, and Nobody could tell me what had happened. They just said he was pulling somebody's hair. And I said, what happened? And he told me that, well, they were touching my hair. So, it was childhood curiosities. They were trying to figure out why his hair was the way it was. And he did the same, but of course. So with that happening, we had to sit down, and my husband said, look, I really understand you're educated, you're all this, you want to pursue all these
Right.
things. But as a family, we have to figure out what we're doing going forward. So as I said to you, I had to be the supportive spouse
Yes.
so that he finishes his training. So I decided to step back and stayed at home. And then I had my daughters afterwards. So I spent quite a lot of time at home as a stay-at-home mom. So I can speak very well to the stay-at-home mom, the now businesswoman mom, as well as the supporting spouse.
So, for that young mom who is a supportive spouse, who is a stay at home mom, which, by the way, I think is the hardest job being a stay at home mom
It
because you don't
is.
get a break. Whereas work, you go to work and you come home. Whereas being a stay at home mom, you're working 24/7.
True.
For
True.
that mom who is going through that phase, what advice would you give her when she says, here I am, I feel like I'm losing myself, and I have these three small children, 5 and under, or 10 and under? What advice can you give that woman?
I think for the supported spouse, I would say acknowledge the other person who is managing the home and running the family.
Mhm.
Because, as you said, it is a lot.
Mhm.
Whether it's dropping the kids, making sure that their sports and everything is going well, their extracurricular things are going on well, acknowledge that person who's making it happen. Even when you have to show up at the recitals and everything, you remember that there are so many other days that have happened before that recital. Even to get to the recital, we
Yep.
used to have moments when my middle daughter used to do ballet dancing. And one of the things on those days of the recital, you're worrying about everything, and you would pack and just making her look good on stage and everything. But then you've driven to the venue and you get there and it's like, Mom, I forgot my slippers. So it's the small
The
things,
small things.
but they really do matter. So whenever you have that little chance, if you are the supported spouse, give them something.
Yeah.
Just the acknowledgement, I think, is most important. And also, I remember, and now I feel like this topic comes more and more often to me. And I have a feeling for the young moms who are still at it, the ones with the 15-year-olds and below, because I know what it is a lot of work. So I always say, I remember one young woman saying to me, does it ever end? Watching them doing this, doing that. I said, you know what? It will come to an end and you'll actually miss them. And
Yeah.
you miss the noise. All, like you will miss it. So the way I'm saying is approach it as a phase or a page in a book. Like, this chapter will end and
Mhm.
you'll move on to your next chapter. I know this question will probably come later, but the word I use these days is just have grace, give yourself some grace that you're a good mom, whatever
Yes.
you're doing, you're a good spouse, you're giving it your best, and nobody can ever understand how difficult what it takes for you. Nobody will ever thank you enough for it. No,
Nobody.
nobody. No. Your kids, your spouse, Just give it as a gift.
Wow,
You are
that's
giving
powerful.
you are giving yourself to that person, whether it's your spouse while they're doing whatever they're doing with their career and taking care of the family. That's your part but it's a gift. You are giving that to your children. You are giving that to your spouse.
So when did you start your business? Because you have a luxury skincare line, Yangu Beauty, and I love your products. I am
Oh,
mad
thank
that you don't
you.
have the one that I want in stock. How do you run out of that one? I mean, those are the two particular ones that I want.
Well, it's also that the reason I do not have, but thank you for loving the product line. I always appreciate when people love the product line, but I always say it's one of my joys, and they came later in life.
Yeah.
And it's also to go back to that young mom. Um, don't look at this old mom and want to be her today. It
Mm.
may not happen because I had to make a decision to take my life in stages,
Yeah.
literally. So what I did during my mom days was
Mm-hmm.
to do charity work. The charity was, again, what I had seen when I visited home.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, okay, this is something I can do while I am doing my supportive role. So that's
Mm-hmm.
why the nonprofit came 21 years
Mm.
ago. For
Because you could
Yangu
do this
Beauty,
from home and it wasn't as with the help that you had, you could manage the children and their busy schedules and also be able to do this.
yes, they'll be in school, and I could sit down and write letters seeking support and stuff like that. And it didn't give me the pressure
Mm-hmm.
of, a full-time corporate job. So that was manageable that way. When it came to Yangu Beauty, I really did it out of need. I have very, very, very sensitive skin. So when I use anything that is with harsh chemicals and everything else, I break out, and I break out bad.
Wow.
So I had to sit back. I told you I was a rural girl. I thought of, what is it that we used to use after those river baths in the village? And then I just asked my cousins to send me some of the oils that Ukoko used to share with us. So when I tried to use those, I found improvement in my skin. And my
Wow.
girls were now getting into teenagehood. I let them use it. My niece also has very sensitive skin. I think a lot of women of color,
Mm-hmm.
well, a lot of people of color, our skin is very sensitive. So I started using that, and then I tried to sell it, the oils themselves, the
Mm-hmm.
baobab oil, the marula oil. But people didn't like the way they smelled,
Yeah.
it didn't have anything.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh, well, maybe let me make it into a real product. I happen to have a husband who is a pharmacologist, so I also worked with a cosmetic chemist. This lady's been making cosmetics for, I don't know, 40 years or so.
Oh, wow.
So we got together and I said, I have these oils and I want to create a skincare line. And it has to be as gentle as everything for my skin because it has to not hurt my skin. And then that's how we really started.
Wow. Where did you find this cosmetic person? Did you just search the internet?
No, 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 no.
I mean, this was a while ago when Google was not like readily, easily searchable.
No, what happened was, in fact, when I started, I always wanted to share my culture with the world. So I wanted to share traditional foods, traditional ways in which the beautification rituals were like in Africa. So it was both when I started, it was both the oils and the foods, the baobab powders and all that.
Oh.
And I love to cook, as I told you. And I wanted to create recipes out of those things and share with the world, like, our culture, how beautiful it is a lot, but the world doesn't seem to see us. So I thought, what a way. But then as I was sharing with people what I was trying to do, and even trying to get partners, it would come to be two things. Either people were interested on the food side
Oh.
or on the cosmetic side. So in a way, I was kind of pushed to the cosmetic side,
Yeah.
one, because of the need for my skin, as
Yeah.
well as the interest. So I was introduced to this lady. One of the possible partners say to me, if this person says that what you're talking about can be real, I will possibly partner with you.
Wow.
So the interview came while we went out to lunch with this lady and the possible partner. And she said, oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I can help her with developing this. So we were going to start, the three of us, the business, but then the gentleman got sick. So we couldn't continue with him. So I had to continue with the cosmetic chemistry, my husband and I, in the business. That's how I found it. It wasn't online.
Wow. I feel like whenever things are supposed to go in a certain way, they
Yes.
just happen.
Yes. Yes.
What are the challenges you faced
Oh,
growing your business? I know this takes all day, but condense it for me. Growing your business and then scaling up to the level that you've been able to scale it to.
well, the statement I've had recently is that entrepreneurship is like an addiction. You you get your highs and you get your lows. So it depends when you meet me. Am I on my high or am I on my low? You were just complaining. You're my customer. You're just complaining.
Yes.
How can you
One
be
of the
out
complaining
of those
customers.
two? How can you be out of those two favorite products of mine? And I will tell you that you're out because the production didn't go well. And I think they did not cover those products properly. So while in storage, they got messed up. So there's no way I can send it to you because you'll be like, it doesn't smell the
What is
same.
happening? The
So
texture is
those are
not the same.
those are some of the real life challenges you meet as an entrepreneur. Every day is different. Each day you wake up, you're going to meet up with one challenge or the other. But I can tell you that in the early days, you're looking at, this is a product, physical product that I'm selling. I'm not selling a service. So whatever I'm doing, you have to like it. And I have to convince you to like it. But before you even like it, I have to make sure that those oils get here. That's a
Because
logistic.
how do you even get that much oil to make that much product? Where do you even source them from for them to fit your vegan, ethically sourced, coming all the way from Zimbabwe where you're not there watching the people?
Yeah. So there's a lot of really background work that needs to be done to find the people who get you the oils and for the oils to get here. Then where are you going to package them? So you have to do a lot of packaging sourcing. Where am I going to find the containers? Where am I going to find the boxes? So it's a lot. There are a lot of
Lot of
stages.
steps. Mhm.
People see it at the end of the day
And
and
we think it just happened.
right, but you have to be able to find, of course, the person who will help you with the formula. You can't just put together everything and it's okay. No, it has to be done scientifically because we merged ancient oils
Mhm.
and advanced science to come up with a product that works, the product
Right.
that makes you say, I like Yangu.
That can be stored, that can survive all these. Yes. Okay.
I was talking to another entrepreneur yesterday, and she was telling me that, I had to pull out of Amazon because my cosmetics were in glass. And every time they would deliver a product to the customer, the glass was broken.
Broken.
So it's like all those little things. How are you packaging? Where are you packaging? How is the product going to get from me to praise on time
Yes.
as
'Cause
fast
we
as
will
you want to?
complain.
Yeah. So those are some of the difficulties. And of course, the biggest elephant in the room is, where do you find the money to do all that? It's a very, very challenging thing to do. You just, okay, you want to get the bottles to put your, how many of these are you going to buy? All of a sudden you realize, oh, nobody wants to sell you 100 bottles.
No.
That's not enough. They want you
Right.
to buy 5,000 bottles. And you're like, what am I going to do with 5,000 bottles?
Right.
And I have, like now I just have 7 skincare products. So if you say 7 times 5,000, that's 35,000 bottles. I haven't gone to the cap. And then you learn that, oh, it's not sold together.
Oh. Oh.
So it's a small little item. I mean, it's like, okay. And then the box itself, who's going to do that? You learn so
Wow.
much. You were asking me about the gallons of oils and all that.
Yes. Who
It's the
is
same.
even making those oils?
Yeah. We get a lot of them from Southern Africa. That's where we get most of our oils are Southern Africa. We use about 7 different oils from Southern Africa because we're trying to promote all those women that collect the seeds and all that. But yeah, the steps and stages are a lot, and you have to find the right person to guide you or to work with you to do it. Yeah, you see a lot of those online. Yeah, you can do this in a second and all that. Yes, you can. You can take one who make one and say, praise whatever beauty
Oh, yes.
product.
Just
But
put my label on it, but I have no idea what's in it.
Exactly. That's the difference. I really wanted it to be something that I can say it works for my skin and it was done this way. And I tested it. Of course, that's another thing. When
Yes.
they're producing it, I have the ability to go to the lab, get it, try it and say, I like it. I'll say, no, let's do it this way. The
Wow.
consistency, I don't like the way it is. The scent, all those little stages, you
Yes.
have to go through it and make sure that it is right and it's what you feel comfortable going out there and saying, okay, this is my product. This is what it does. So the challenges are at every step of the way. And then when you actually have to now sell the product, it's another
big challenge, marketing, selling the product,
Yeah.
and then now dealing with the customer.
Of course.
How do you find time to balance keeping your marriage alive and also the children? I guess it's more like parenting adulting children now, children who are
Yes.
entering adulting years.
Yes, as I said earlier to the young mom, give yourself grace. They will grow. There was a stage when my youngest, she's 22 now, she did gymnastics. If you've never had a child in gymnastics, you have no idea what those parents do.
I can't even imagine.
The hours those kids spend in the gym, the travel involved, there was no way I could have had my business during that time.
Wow.
There is no room. So as I said, I had to say, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the motherhood thing first, and when they were slightly older now, when they were in their teenagers, that's when I started my business. Because now they can, make their own breakfast and do their things and go to school. So I had more time. I started to have this is my time. I can really focus on it,
Yeah.
because it was like my fourth baby, as it were, because it needed just as much attention.
Attention.
All this stuff, like we just went through the stages of, you're collecting, just putting the pieces of the business together.
Yeah.
It takes a lot. And then to make the business known, I had to travel. I had to have a very, very heavy schedule just to get to people to know my customer and all that. What is it that the woman of color is missing? What do they need in their skincare? Who the heck is Yangu Beauty? What are we about? So we had to do a lot of travel, trade shows and all that. Almost a reversal now that now my husband, of course, he was at a different stage in his career. Now to learn to be my cheerleader now. He was also now the supporting spouse.
Yeah.
And I think he has held that position very, very well. He's a very supportive spouse. I call him my, he holds all the pom-poms and cheers me on.
That is
So
amazing.
he has been very, very supportive, so much that sometimes people say to me, you were not at this other meeting, but he talked about your skincare line and all these. So I think somehow we managed to work it in such a way that when it was time for me to be the mom at home and he doing his thing, I was there for him. And now it's my turn. He's still doing his thing, but he's at a much higher position and level where he can almost control his schedule than it was during the early years. So I think I just had to make it in stages.
Yes.
Do I have time? I don't think I do, but I still get out there and do what I have to do.
Tell me more about Munhu Inc. So you have this nonprofit that you have been successfully running for a long time, for more than 20 years. How have you managed to keep it running? What have you done to keep it sustainable? Because, we all want to help and do these things, but starting something is very easy. It's sustaining it that takes effort and time. How have you managed to keep it going for so long?
Wow. It's again, it's a very difficult. Non-profit is even harder than the regular business, I think, because it's straight up asking.
Yes,
I'm
that's
literally
hard.
saying
That's the part that I struggle with our nonprofit. I cannot ask for money from people. I really struggle.
yes. And as I say, just like I feel like I have maybe 3 areas now that I feel like, you know what, I should be a consultant now. And one of them is motherhood, marriage, and
Nonprofit.
entrepreneurship, nonprofit. As you said, it's very easy for people to say, oh, yeah, I've founded my nonprofit and this and this and that. Yeah.
I found that out the hard way. When we started the Rose Gift Foundation, I thought, oh, we'll start it. We have a mission. We have a plan. This is what we need to do. Everyone is just going to be flocking over here, giving us money so we can help these people that need help.
Usually the story, but again, it was one of those things that it has a story behind it. I was still in Albany, New York at that time when when we finished his training in Cleveland, our first stop was Albany, New York. He was actually a transplant infectious diseases doctor. So as you know, in the transplant world, you guys have another crazy way of life.
It is a different way of life.
Yes. So I must have been searching for a home. I can't remember, but this lady was a real estate agent that I met. And every time we would get into a car and we're seeing houses. I would start talking about what I had seen. I had visited home. I come from a family of teachers. A lot of my siblings were in the teaching field. So what they were telling me, it was at the height of HIV. And my sisters were saying, the kids that are left behind, it's either they have grandma, and somebody told us of there's two kids that were living by themselves. And the stories were horrific, okay? We didn't stay very long at home. We came back and it just touched me. And I kept talking about it. And my husband was like, so what are you going to do about it? If it's
You
either you
keep
do
talking
something
about it.
And then I said, okay, but what can I do? I don't have money to have a nonprofit. He's like, well, it doesn't mean you have to have money. My father's gospel was always, you have to be kind. And with him, he did it by just adopting. I have lots of adopted siblings.
Wow.
And cousins and whatnot. So for us, it was like, oh, that's how it is.
That's
But
just the way of life.
yes, when I say that, people automatically think that my dad must have been a wealthy man. No, he wasn't. He was just a laborer, But he showed us that you can help. You don't have to have a lot to help. So with that, I said, okay, let's see. So we started with about 15 kids. At that time, the exchange rate between the US dollar and the Zim dollar were very high. So
Yeah.
$2 I could send a child to school.
Wow.
So we started with 15 kids near my husband's rural village. And then 2 years later, one of our friends' mom was visiting the US and we had Thanksgiving together. So I shared with her what I was doing. And she said, Sipho, when I get home, I'm going to send you a list. So I
Of
said,
children.
okay. Yes. She said,
Wow.
she said, this Australian nonprofit is pulling out of our area.
Oh.
So I think you can help. I'm thinking, Mama, it's okay. So she goes back home. She sends me a list. It had 250 children.
Woo! Wow. Not a list of 15, 20. Not even.
So we moved from 15 to 250 kids.
Wow.
The real estate friend that had helped me, her husband happened to be a lawyer. She helped me, set up the nonprofit properly, as well as apply for that nonprofit status that you have to get to be able. She told me that if you don't have this, nobody's going to write you a check because people want
Right.
to get their tax write-offs.
Yes.
So I told her that, okay, the 15 kids that we could help between my little money and your money have just grown to 250 kids. So now we need to do something serious about this. Not necessarily advertising, but sharing with other people what we were doing and all that. So we really started sharing with others what it is we were doing. It's a different kind of marketing, I'll say.
Yeah.
Because you are really saying to people, you are not writing this check to me. You
Yeah.
are writing this check to these children. And of course, it's now with all the scams and stuff, that's the problem.
Yes. Yes.
So we had to make sure that our setup, that's why we do volunteer, because a lot of people are like, well, since you are a stay-at-home mom, you can make yourself a director and be paid. And I said, no, but if I get paid, there won't be enough money to go to the kids.
Right.
Which was the
If
truth.
you
Like,
take a salary, then the kids are not
the
all
kids are not
being
getting
fed.
it.
Yeah.
So I said, no, I'm not going to do that. That's not the reason I founded this. The reason I founded this is for me to make sure that these kids go to school.
Wow.
So that's how I started sharing. And then we moved soon after that, which meant I was leaving my New York crowd
Yeah.
now to Texas. And then I came to Texas. I told my husband's friend, the wife, we became very good friends. And I told her, this is what I do as a stay-at-home. She was also a stay-at-home mom. And she's like, so where in the world are you going to find the money? What do you do this? So she said, oh, okay. You know, she's of British descent, Zimbabwean. And she said to me, okay, let's have a tea. She called some of her friends. We had a nice tea and we fundraised enough money.
Wow.
And from there on, we started doing different things, you know, putting together gifts around Christmas that we could sell. I think around 2008, I was at a Zimbabwean event, Zimexpo,
Yeah.
and I met this lady, and lots of people were coming, stopping by, and asking about the charity. And then this lady stopped by, and then she said to me, well, you know, I'm from California. When I get home, I'll get back to you. And I was like, yeah, right. I know. People say
I know
that.
how
And
it
then,
is.
and indeed, she went to California and she contacted me and she said, you know, your story touched me. I would like to participate. And I said, oh, yeah, sure. Everybody is welcome. Please join us. And at that time, she worked for one of the big pharmaceutical companies and she introduced the organization to them. And then she started getting lots of people from that company donating as well.
Wow.
So just to continue from New York to Texas, now my friend in Texas, now this lady in California, that's how Mono started to have a real big growth. And as we were with her, she spearheaded the part of Mono where we help, you know, they are orphans, but
Mm-hmm.
they stay with other families. And when we
Mm-hmm.
were paying for those orphans, it would cause a little bit of trouble. Let's say the family is not being able to pay tuition for their own kids, but the orphan is
Mm.
covered. So there
Yeah.
was that little, so we
Yes.
decided to say, okay, let's do something for those families that are helping these children. So we started a micro grants program where we would lend these families some money so that it was a micro loan, but the
Mm-hmm.
IRS here did not want us to say we're doing micro loans because it starts to be banking and whatnot.
Right.
So we called them micro grants, where they would borrow anywhere between $50 to $500,
Mm-hmm.
and they would start a small business.
Mm.
So those really changed the game as well,
Wow.
because there was one that had women that were widows, and
Mm-hmm.
they bought goats and they raised these goats and they sold them, and then they moved on to cattle.
Wow.
And then another one was this gentleman. He was a tailor in his life, but now he was laid off and he started sewing school uniforms, so much that we could buy for our students the school uniforms from
From him.
this and sell. So we had a lot of those, and I think at my last count we had 84 of these small businesses in the
Wow.
different rural areas. So really that's how Muno has grown. Yeah, the last year and the other year, I would say COVID years have been very difficult because a lot
Mm-hmm.
of our supporters were either out of work and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But otherwise, the past few years, people have been very supportive. And
That
I've
is
been amazed
incredible.
by some of our own Zimbabweans that have come out. I think last year, there was a time we really needed so much help. And these young ladies locally just got together and they just raised like $1,500 and they said,
Wow.
here you go. So I am always very grateful. It's never just me. There's so
Oh,
many people that really put support and all that.
that is incredible. That takes me to A question I have for you: women who inspire you. Who are two women? They could be dead, they could be alive, that inspire you or have inspired you that you would want to have dinner with and just learn from?
For me, it's Mother Teresa
Mm.
um, and Michelle Obama. I know they are like as different as ever. But with Mother Teresa, I've read her biography and I've read a lot about her life. The work she did in India was just to learn that she wasn't even from India. To
Mhm.
me, was how do you go to another country and make such a difference?
Yes.
And the way she talks about it, the challenges she faced, even to her own faith, how her faith was tried doing the work of the Lord. Yeah, it made me understand that whatever challenges I will face while doing Ya or Mono,
Mhm.
I have to give myself grace that if the likes of her could
Yes.
have so many challenges, what about me? Just me.
Wow.
So she is one of my heroes in the world. And that's why I really like to follow in her footsteps in a way, to give as much as she did. And she had very little to show to the
Yeah.
world. So that, and the humility that she had, it was quite inspiring for me. To be able to give of yourself to the level that she did in the nonprofit space and in that
Yeah.
well, and how we can share who we are with others. And then with Michelle Obama, I just think she is an incredible lady. I think of the burden that
Mhm.
she had as a supporting spouse, um, to a country
Educated. Very
educated,
educated and
having to put that down,
yes.
leave everything, go and be in the White House and face all that negative, lots of negativity was thrown at her, but
Mhm.
she did it with such grace. And I mean, she did so well. And
Yeah.
raising two girls at that age. So for me, it was like, I mean, I really see you. You're a mom and you are a supporting spouse of a very, very successful man. And you,
Yes.
on your own and in your true faith, you are a very successful woman. But she had the humility to say, now it's his turn. Let
Yes.
me just shine the light on him
Yes.
until he has done what he needs to do. So I think it's something that all of us as women, we can learn and tap from her experience. And seeing her afterwards, now having stepped out of the White House and just being herself, doing
Yes.
her stuff, doing her thing, dancing, fun, happy. The girls are grown and that's how it is. I feel like
Yeah.
that's how we have to understand ourselves as women, that yes, we can have it all, but
Yes.
maybe not all
Not at
at
the same
once.
time. Yes. Yes. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So shifting this to two women in the Bible that you would want to have dinner with and just glean from their experience, who would they be?
I think for me it's Ruth and Mary, the mother of Christ.
Another young lady from Texas that I spoke to also gave those two women, and she's 36. So that's very interesting to hear. Now I want to know why those two for you.
For me, Ruth is, I think it was her bravery and
Hmm.
the way she also, the love for her mother-in-law.
Yeah.
As daughters-in-laws, a lot of daughters-in-laws and mothers-in-laws have very weird relationships.
Hmm.
I happen to be very fortunate. My mother-in-law and I are very good friends. So I think she gives us this view of how we should love um, our mothers in love, as my friend calls hers, and how we should be brave sometimes, when our bravery is needed. Sometimes we shy away as women and we just make ourselves small, but I feel like Ruth did not do that. She was brave. She stood up and she showed her mother-in-law that we're together. We
Yeah,
have this. We got it. Me and you, mom, we have it.
we
And
have it.
and I think that's how we should be as women, as loving to our not our only our own moms, but to our mothers-in-law, as well as just to show bravery to the nation when it's needed. As for Mary, the mother of Christ, I think it just she sounds like when I read the Bible, she was a young mother,
Mm-hmm.
very young. And to have the burden to explain this whole, how are you the mother of God, as it were? How do you do that? How do you explain that? What makes you so special? I mean, it's a challenge. That's
Yeah.
I can't understand how she handled that.
Yes.
Um, and then, of course, in today's world, I would look at Jesus as a celebrity. He must have been a
Yes.
celebrity. So it's like you are the mother of this wise man that everybody wants to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
How do you do that? How do you manage that? And then, of course, the rest of the things that happen in life, losing your
Mm-hmm.
son so early in
Mm.
life at 33. How do you deal with that kind of a loss? I mean,
Right.
it's from 0 to 33, and you have all this, the miracle itself of Christ and his work, and then his death.
Cool.
As a mother, I don't know how I would handle that. But I feel like, to me, they inspire me with the way she handled everything. And so that's why I would love to have dinner with her.
Wow. What is the one word that describes your current season in life?
I think it's grace. I have this group of network women, business women, and I think we talked about grace
Yeah.
last Thursday. And we have to give ourselves grace as
Mm.
mothers, because we don't.
Yes.
We
We are
have to.
very hard on ourselves.
So to me, I think we have to give ourselves grace as mothers, as wives, as friends, as sisters, and as business people, because stuff gets rough sometimes. And in business, it's all the time.
Yes.
So you have to forgive yourself every day. So give yourself some grace and say, you know what? I tried, and this is what it came out to be. But I gave it all my all, and let me give myself grace. And each day, each mother, each businesswoman, each spouse, give yourself some grace. And yeah, that's
Wow.
what I'm doing these days. Don't fast.
No
It's
fuss.
okay. It's gonna be okay. I lost my sister 2 years ago, and we're very close. And one of the things that she would say whenever I'll be doing things and it's hectic, it's crazy, and I'm complaining, and I'm like, I don't even know what to do. What's this and this? And she would say, was right. You know.
Oh,
So the reason I'm saying grace is was right. Everything is
yes.
gonna be all right.
Gonna be
So
okay.
we'll be okay. It is
Oh,
well. It
it
is
is
well.
well. It is
Yes.
well.
Yes. Faith over fear. So
Yes.
do not be afraid. The Lord is always with you.
Amen.
And with the Lord, everything is possible.
Mm. Amen.
It is well.
It is well.
Yes.
Thank you so much. This was so amazing. Thank you for taking the time. I know you have a busy weekend ahead. And it's Sunday afternoon, but you still have a whole day to go.
Well, thank you
So
for inviting me. I really, really, I'm glad to anybody who's listening or will get a chance to listen to this. Please, let's pray. Let's have grace. It's gonna be okay, and
it's
it
gonna
is
be
well.
okay.
Yes.
And I hope you have my products in soon, and I will be sure it's gonna be okay.
Now, you see, she just turned off the switch. I was calm. I was okay. Now I'm like, oh man, my customers need those products. I got to do something up now. So how do I get them as quickly as possible?
As quickly as
Because it's like,
possible, please, before our skin starts
that's how
breaking
the
out.
pressure is turned up, okay? Well, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this. This was so much fun.